In this video, I'm going to show you some of the basic tools of Photoshop. You can open Photoshop and go to File, New. I'm going to create a sample for maybe a magazine cover that I'll create. You can go to Inches, and I'm going to create 8.5 wide and 11, just a normal page size. And then you want to make sure your pixels are a little bit higher for larger documents. So I'm going to go to 300 pixels per inch and then CMYK color for printing. Go to my magazine sample here, and I am first going to show you just the basic shape tool. You can draw shapes and edit them however you want to. I'll just start with a basic rectangle. You can click and drag to draw your rectangle. If you hold down Shift, you'll keep that square. You can draw a rectangle and have it filled in. If you want to double click, you can, on the color, you can edit the color if you want to. And you can go to your paint bucket tool, or it is also a gradient tool as well. And you can click to fill it in. Now, with filling in and editing any sort of image, you can't have a vector. So this is a vector right now with the points and the lines in between, the paths. So it says it must be rasterized. It will no longer have a vector mask. So I'm going to say, okay, it is now shape. I can fill it in whatever color I want. And I can also, if I go to my move tool, which is right here, I can move it around as well. If you don't see these little boxes and the center point, go up here and click transform, show transform controls. That will allow you to drag, change the shape. If you go to the corner and hold the toggle, you can rotate it as well. And then you'll need to hit the check mark or just hit enter, and that will get it to where you want to. If you want to go backwards, you can click Option Command Z. And that will take you back a step, but you can click it as many times as you need to go backwards. It's also up here in Edit, Step Backward. Undo will just let you undo the last thing you did. That's just Command Z. So make sure you do Option Command Z. You can also add a stroke if you want to. You can change the color of your stroke. You can click OK, and now I have a stroke there that you can barely see, but it's there on the edge of my square. I made it black. So that is Edit. Oops, sorry. Click that. Edit. You can change the fill. You can change the stroke. You can also transform it or click Command T. And that again will give you some different options. You can also skew and distort it up here if you want to as well. You can say you don't want to go through with it, or you do. You can click the X out, and that will take you back to the original. So you can edit your shapes that you have here as well, your rasterized shapes. You can also go down to Effects at the bottom here, and you can click on Blending Options, and this will edit the layer. And so if I want to add a drop shadow on my layer, if I click here, I can move my drop shadow. See if you can see it distance. You can see that it spreads out where the shadow is, or the spread of it, or the size of it. And if you have the preview checked, you can see that it's changing as I'm messing around with it. You can also unclick it, it'll take it back. But there's a lot of different tools you can mess around with here to edit. There's an inner shadow now. You can just go on an outer glow. See if I can get that showing size. Can't see that for some reason. There's an interesting effect as well. So you can play around with those, bevel and emboss. You can make it look like you have embossed edges where it's popping out. Color overlay will allow you to layer another color on top. If you click on that, I can just mess around with the opacity. I could add, say, a green on top of my blue, lower the opacity so you get that other color showing through. So there's a lot of tools with the effects where you can change the effects of a layer, and that's with any layer you have. I can also create text. So if I click on here and I click and start typing, I have a text here and I can drag it larger. I can go back to my text tool. I'm going to apply the transformation and I can edit the font up here. Oops. I can change the size. I can change the type, slightly changes it, and I can have my word there. You'll notice that as I create each object or each element, it creates a different layer, which is a little bit different than Illustrator. You can also click and drag your layers to the different sections, different hierarchy, and then whatever is at the top will be above everything else in your image. You can drag your layers to delete them as well. And even with your text layer, I just double clicked on it, you can change the layer style, or like I said, you can go down to effects and that's the layer style as well. So I can even change this layer. I could add a outer glow. You can see that adds a little bit of a glow on it. So you can have layer styles and effects on shapes, on photographs, on text as well. I'm just going to cancel that, but there's a lot you can do with playing around with your image. Next, I'm going to actually input an image or place an image down. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to grab this image here and drag it to the size that I want. It might look pixelated at first, but it will, once you hit enter or hit the check mark, click the check mark, it will look good again if it is a higher resolution. First, what I'm going to do is go to Layer and I want to rasterize it. In order to do any editing to a image, you need to rasterize it into a smart object. If you find that you cannot edit things, it's probably because you did not rasterize the image. So I'm going to rasterize that and now I can edit the pixels. So I'll show you a couple tools. I'll zoom in first. And I will show you a couple options you have with that. One tool I really like is the clone tool. That is right here. And it's a clone stamp. So let's say I want to add another object in my photograph or cover something up. What I can do is click on my clone stamp. Let's say I don't want this piece of hair. I can change the size of my clone stamp. And I can hold down Option. If I want to get rid of this hair, I'm going to click right next to it, Option. So hold down Option and click. Let go of everything, drag my mouse down by the hair, over top of the hair, and just click and drag. It is cloning where the plus is. It's cloning over where the circle is. So I'm going to click Option as well, click again, and click down. So that's a good way to cover up anything you don't want. Let's say I don't want this outlet for some reason. It really bugs me. In my photo, I can hold down Option or Alt, click, go over here, drag, and I can slowly drag over that outlet that I don't want. So I'm going to just drag over the bottom. You can see, I'm going to show you in a section here by dragging it bigger. If I hold down Option and click, I go over here, you can see that paint bottle would be cloned down here. This might help you understand a little bit more. So I'm actually cloning the left section of my picture over here. If I don't want that, I can go Shift Command Z and take that away. Another cool thing you can do is select different parts of your image and you can edit them. So if I want to edit something here, I can use a couple of different options. I can use the magnetic lasso. Let's say I wanted to pick a part of my drawing. I can use my magnetic lasso, and if I click and drag, it actually sticks to pixels that are similar. So there, it missed that part of my head, but that's all right. It kind of sticks like a magnet to the edges. So let's say I wanted to click this part of my face. You can also let go and click, and then you can finish off the circle. So let's say I wanted to move this. I could actually cut my whole head apart if I wanted to move it somewhere else. Or I can go Shift Command Z and that will bring it back. Or I can go to Command J. If I click Command J, it will actually copy down here. It copied my selection into a new layer. So if I click this, I'm on this new layer and I drag it, I've got two heads. I'm just going to delete this. Oops, delete it. So now I have my normal head back. Another option is using one that I like as well is the Quick Select tool, and that will help you select pixels that are very similar in color. So let's say I wanted to change the color of my hair. I could click and drag to select my hair. You can see that because my forehead is similar in color, I'm actually going to go to the minus and delete some of the pixels. Just refine it a little bit manually. If you click Refine Edge, you can edit a little bit more. Smooth. I can smooth out the adjustment, that way it won't look as harsh. I'm going to click OK. And if I wanted to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, change the hue just to check it out. Click Hue. I could actually change the color slightly. You can see my hair is changing. I wanted blue hair, bring out the blues in it. And I can change the different selections by going to New Adjustment Layer. By using my selection tool, either my Quick Selection tool or my Lasso tool, I can select only parts of my image, and then I can go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and I can change a lot there. Shift Command Z to go back. We'll delete that level. If I want to edit this picture completely, I can have my photo selected, and I can go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and I can select different options for changing my photos. So if I click Curves, I can edit the blacks and whites that I see in my picture. If I want to make adjustments that way. I can also go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer. Maybe I want to change the hue or saturation. If I want to desaturate or really saturate it, I can. That looks creepy, but I can change that as well. Change the lightness or darkness of my image. You can also just double click the layers if you want to edit them, slightly adjust them. You can double click on them.